Welcome back to the deep dive. It is February 2026. And if you've been looking at the business pages or, even just scrolling your feed for 5 minutes, you know what the vibe is.
Oh, it's frantic. That's really the only word for it.
Absolutely frantic.
Hmm?
We're seeing this level of consolidation in tech that, I don't know, it feels like we haven't seen since the dot-com era. Maybe even bigger.
It's a frenzy.
Companies are just racing to buy speed. They're racing to buy capability. I was looking at the Crunch-based numbers for the start of the year, and the prediction is just huge deals, massive acquisitions. Everyone wants to own the next big AI model.
Or at least the team that built it.
Exactly. It is the classic gold rush scenario.
It is, but usually in a gold rush, everyone's just worried about finding the gold, right? They want the nugget. Right now, the smartest people in the room, the ones signing the checks, are starting to worry about something else entirely.
And that is exactly what we're unpacking today. Because while everyone is staring at the shiny objects, the billion parameter models, the talent, we're here to look at the ground beneath their feet. Because according to our sources today, specifically, a really sharp analysis by Johan Steyn on a recent UK Supreme Court ruling, that ground is, well, it's turning into a minefield.
A legal minefield.
Yeah.
And it's one that a lot of buyers, frankly, aren't equipped to detect until it blows up in their face.
We're talking about the difference between a billion-dollar asset and, a billion-dollar liability.
Yeah.
So let's set the stage. The catalyst for this whole conversation is something that just happened in the UK.
Right.
But the ripples are going to be felt everywhere. Silicon Valley, Shenzhen, you name it, involves the UK Supreme Court and artificial neural networks.
Which I know on the surface sounds like the driest possible combination of words.
It sounds like a great time to go make a sandwich, yeah?
It really does. But if you are a CEO or an investor or honestly anyone building software right now, put this sandwich down. This ruling is a seismic shift.
Okay, what happened?
Effectively, the UK Supreme Court has opened the door to artificial neural networks, ANNs, being patentable.
Okay, we need to pause on that and really break it down. Because for the last, decade, the general wisdom has been pretty simple. You can patent hardware, like a chip. You can copyright code. But you can't patent an algorithm. Math is free. That was the rule, right?
Precisely. That was the peace treaty, you could call it, of the software world. Abstract mathematical methods were just that abstract. You couldn't own them.
Logic was public domain.
Exactly. But this ruling, it really challenges that, specifically for AI. The court looked at this application for an artificial neural network and had to decide, is this just math or is it a machine?
That feels like a philosophical question.
It is, but they gave a legal answer. They said, if this math makes a technical contribution outside the computer, so if it makes a real-world process faster or better or more efficient, it might be patentable.
Technical contribution. That sounds like the magic phrase here. What does that actually mean in plain English?
Okay, think of it this way. If I write a formula that just, sorts numbers for the sake of sorting numbers, that's abstract. That's just math.
Right.
But if I design a neural network that processes image data in a very specific way to identify a tumor in an X-ray faster than a human can,
okay.
That is a technical contribution. It solves a real-world technical problem.
So because it does something useful in the physical world, it stops being just math and starts being an invention.
That's it. And what that does is align the UK much more closely with European practice, which has kind of allowed this for a while. Lawyers are already suggesting, and Steyn really highlights this, that the UK is suddenly a very attractive place to file for AI protection.
Which, that sounds great for inventors, doesn't it? If I invent a new way for a neural net to process images, I want to own that. I want a credit. And yeah, I want the money.
In a vacuum, yes, it's great for the inventor. If you're the one holding the patent, you are popping champagne.
But we don't live in a vacuum.
We live in a very crowded, very aggressive marketplace. And Steyn's whole analysis is about what happens when you introduce this new layer of patentability into a frenzied M&A market.
It just changes the due diligence process completely.
It upends it. And this brings us to the core concept of this whole deep dive. If you take one thing away today, it should be this: the difference between ownership and freedom to operate.
I love this distinction because I think most people just conflate them. They think, I wrote the code, my engineers typed it out, so I'm safe.
Right. That is ownership. Ownership is looking inward. You ask, did my engineers write this? Do I have the copyright? Did we, steal this from some GitHub repo?
It's like buying a house and checking the deed.
Exactly. You're making sure you own the bricks and mortar.
Okay, so I have the deed, I own the house, I built the house. What's freedom to operate?
Freedom to operate is looking outward. It's asking, okay, by living in this house, am I blocking my neighbor's view? Is my fence 3 inches onto their land? Does my driveway infringe on some public easement?
Oh, that is a crucial difference.
It is massive. And if you translate that to AI, you can have a team of brilliant engineers who write every single line of code from scratch.
Clean room.
Totally clean room. Nothing was copied. You have 100% ownership. But the method they used, the way they structured the neural network, the way they normalized the data, how they optimized the weights, that might infringe on a patent held by Google or IBM or, a holding company in Texas that produces nothing but lawsuits.
That is terrifying. So you can be innocent of theft, but still guilty of trespass.
That is a perfect way to put it. You are trespassing on an idea. And with this UK ruling making it easier to patent these ideas, while the number of no trespassing signs is about to skyrocket.
Steyn calls this the patent thicket.
It's a very evocative term, isn't
It
it?
sounds like something from a fantasy novel, the swamp of the patent thicket. But for a business, it's a total nightmare. What does it actually look like in practice?
Well, imagine you're building a modern AI stack. You're not just doing one thing. You have a data ingestion layer, a tokenization layer, the model architecture itself, an optimization layer, maybe a safety filter on top.
Right. It's a layer cake of complexity.
No, layer cake. Now imagine that for every single one of those layers, you have 5 different companies claiming they own the method for doing it. That is the thicket. You literally cannot clear a path to get your product to market without slashing through hundreds of overlapping patent claims.
In an AI, it's so often unclear who invented what first, isn't it? The field just moves so fast.
It is incredibly murky. A lot of these patents are broad, they're vague, they were filed years ago before the tech was even really viable. This creates what Steyn calls uncertainty risk.
Okay, let's play this out. I'm a big tech company, let's call us Megacorp. I want to buy a hot AI startup X, for, say, $500 million. I look at their tech, it's amazing, the engineers are geniuses, I'm ready to buy.
But then your lawyers look at the patent landscape.
And they see the thicket.
They see the thicket. They see that Startup X is using a backpropagation method that looks suspiciously like a patent IBM filed 3 years ago. Or maybe a data processing technique that might infringe on a European patent held by a competitor.
So what happens to the deal? Does Megacorp just walk away?
Sometimes, if the risk is too high, the deal just dies. But more often, you get what's called a price chip.
Price chip. I've heard this term thrown around. Explain that for someone who hasn't been in that negotiation room.
A price chip is exactly what it sounds like. You chip away at the price. Megacorp says, okay, we love your team, but we found this patent risk. If we get sued, it could cost us $50 million in legal fees and settlements. So we're going to lower the acquisition price from $500 million to $450.
Ouch. So legal ambiguity literally takes cash right off the table.
Massive amounts of cash. Or they might demand a huge indemnity escrow.
Indemnity escrow. That sounds expensive.
It is. They'll say, okay, we'll pay you the full amount, but we're locking $50 million of it in a bank account for 3 years. If nobody sues us in that time, you get it. If we get sued, we use your money to pay for our lawyers.
So you're not just selling your tech, you're basically underwriting the buyer's risk. You're buying them an insurance policy with your own payout.
Exactly. And Steyn points to the Getty Images case as a prime example of how the mood has shifted. Now, strictly speaking, that was a copyright case about training data, not a patent case.
Right.
But the psychological impact on the market was identical.
That was the one where Getty sued Stability AI because the AI was generating images with the Getty watermark still kind of visible. Right.
That's the one. And what it showed the market was that these, abstract legal risks can have very real, very expensive consequences. It created a shadow. Before that, the attitude in AI was move fast and break things.
And now?
After that, it became move fast, but check if we're going to get sued for breaking things.
You want to acquire an asset, not an anchor.
Perfectly put. And with this new push for patentability in the UK and Europe, patents are joining copyright and data rights as a Tier 1 diligence category. It is no longer a box you just tick at the end. It's the headline.
So let's get practical then. We have listeners who might be in a boardroom right now, or maybe their founders thinking about an exit. What does this new freedom to operate checklist even look like?
Well, it's getting longer, and the questions are getting a lot more uncomfortable. Steyn lays out a few that are becoming standard, and if you can't answer them, the meeting is pretty much over.
Give us the greatest hits. What's the first thing they ask?
The first one is probably the most aggressive. What patents might you be stepping on?
That feels like a trap. I mean, if I'm a startup founder, I'm focused on shipping code. I haven't spent my weekends reading the patent registry.
And that is exactly the problem. Most startups have these huge blind spots. They just genuinely don't know. But the buyer will force you to look. They'll also ask, what licenses and open source obligations are in your stack?
The open source piece is huge, right?
Mm.
Because everyone assumes open source means free. It's on GitHub. I can use it.
That is such a dangerous assumption. It's free to see, but it is not always free to use commercially. If you use a library that has a copyleft license, like the GPL,
Oh,
which essentially says any software you build with this must also be released for free, and you put that into your proprietary billion-dollar secret sauce model,
you've poisoned the well.
you've poisoned the well.
Yeah.
You have effectively agreed to give your product away for free, which makes your company worth zero to an acquirer like Google or Apple.
What a nightmare. You build the whole thing, but one library just destroys the value.
It happens way more often than you think. And here's another wrinkle Steyn points out that I thought was fascinating. If we roll this out globally, do the answers change?
Oh, right. Because the internet is global, but the law is local.
Exactly. The UK just shifted its stance to be more like Europe. But the US is different. China is different again. You might have freedom to operate in London, your patent is valid, you're totally safe. But the second you launch that feature in New York or Berlin, you might be infringing on someone else's IP.
So you basically need a global map of legal landmines.
You do. A freedom to operate opinion for the UK doesn't help you in the US. You need a strategy for every major market. And this brings up another huge risk, vendor risk.
The supply chain of AI.
Yeah, think about how modern AI products are built. You aren't coding it all from scratch. You're using APIs from OpenAI or Anthropic. You're using vector databases from Pinecone. You're using cloud infrastructure from AWS.
You're standing on the shoulders of giants.
But what if one of those giants trips?
That's the API I rely on gets sued.
If your core vendor gets hit with a patent injunction and has to shut down a feature, your product breaks. It's that simple. There's a report from Managing IP that shows how quickly these AI-related disputes are becoming a real cost line item.
So if I'm the general counsel at a big firm, I'm not just worried about my compliance. I'm worried about the compliance of everyone I buy from.
It's a cascading risk. You need warranties. You need to know that your suppliers have done their homework. It's why you see these 50-page vendor questionnaires now. It's not just bureaucracy, it's immune system defense.
Immune system defense.
Yeah.
I like that. But hearing all this, honestly, it feels overwhelming. If I'm a CEO, the instinct might be to just freeze. Is that the answer? Do we stop deal making?
No, and Steyn is very clear on this. The train has left the station. You can't stop investing in AI because if you do, your competitors will eat your lunch. But it's a reason to, and this is his phrase, professionalize diligence.
Professionalized diligence. It sounds so grown up. What does that actually mean?
Steyn uses a brilliant analogy. He says we need to treat freedom to operate like cybersecurity.
Oh, okay, that clicks for me. Because in cybersecurity, no one ever promises we are 100% safe. That's impossible.
Exactly. If a security chief told you we're unhackable, you'd fire them for lying. You don't need perfection. What you need is visibility. You need to know where the vulnerabilities are. You need mitigation plans. And you need informed sign-off.
So instead of pretending the risk doesn't exist, you walk into the deal saying, look, we know there's a 10% chance of a patent issue here, but we have a plan for it and we have the budget for it.
Precisely. It's about moving from blind optimism to calculated risk. You just need a sober map of where the risks sit. If you have that map, you can navigate. If you don't, you're driving blind off a cliff.
A sober map. That's a good goal.
It is. And this leads to how we define the winners in this 2026 market. We started this talking about the frenzy, the race for speed. But Steyn argues the real winners won't just be the innovators.
They'll be the ones who can defend what they built.
Innovation plus defensibility, that is the winning formula. It's having clear IP ownership, sure, but it's also having credible licensing positions. It's having that clean legal clearance.
It's interesting how the narrative is shifting. A few years ago, the moat was the data, right? Whoever has the most data wins. Then it was the compute. Now it feels like the moat is the legal strategy.
Or at least the legal strategy is the water in the moat. This UK Supreme Court decision is really a reminder that AI advantage isn't just technical, it's legal, it's contractual, it's operational.
It's the maturation of the industry. We're not in the garage anymore.
No, we are in the courtroom. And the boardroom, Steyn puts it perfectly, scale is only an asset if it's legally sustainable. You can scale to 1 billion users, But if that scale is built on infringing tech, it isn't an asset. It's a liability bomb waiting to go off.
That's a powerful takeaway. The excitement of the tech has to match the rigor of the legal strategy. You can't have one without the other anymore.
Not anymore. As patentability expands, investors are going to treat freedom to operate as a core value driver, not some footnote in the contract.
So as we wrap this up, thinking about our listeners, what's the one thing they should take away from all this?
I think they need to look at their projects or the companies they're watching and ask a different question. Don't just ask, can we build it? We know we can build amazing things with AI. The tech is there. The real question for 2026 is, are we allowed to run it?
Are we allowed to run it? Wow. That's the heavy hitter.
It is, and maybe I'd add one more thing, a provocative thought to leave you with. As we see these patent thickets grow, are we moving toward a world where the most valuable asset of an AI company isn't its model?
What would it be then? I mean, the model is everything right now.
It's clean legal clearance. Just imagine a future where a slightly inferior model that is 100% legally bulletproof is worth 10 times more than a state-of-the-art model that has a messy chain of title.
That's a wild thought. The value shifting from the code to the clearance.
It's happened in other industries. I mean, look at pharmaceuticals. The patent, the legal right to sell, is often worth more than the manufacturing process itself. AI might be heading down that same road.
Wow. From the Wild West to the patent office. It's a different kind of excitement, I guess, but it's just as high stakes.
Absolutely. The era of the lawyer-engineer is upon us.
Well, that is a lot to chew on. We went from a UK court ruling to the future of AI valuation in about 15 minutes.
Just a typical deep dive.
Exactly. Thank you all for listening. We hope this helps you navigate the minefield out there. Check your sources, check your patents, and we will see you on the next deep dive.